You all had a look. Let's be honest. You all had a look. You've got a few Newcastle journalists on Bell. Don't lie. I know you have. You all looked when Craig Hope
I am.
tweeted. There you go. There you go. At least you're honest. When you all had a look, and I did as well. And you saw that exclusive. You thought, please, 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 for the sake of Alexander Isak and for the sake of me and the sake of for every Liverpool fan, let's hope that this is a striker. But I'm believing that Jacob Ramsey is playing false nine for Newcastle next season. And that's my narrative because there's a lot of narratives being pushed out today. And we'll talk about the war of the narrative being played out between Liverpool journalists, Newcastle journalists, and what the latest spin is about. But get comfortable. There's nearly 350 of you already in the building. Ben is taking a sip. I'll take a sip of my water as well. And smash a like. You know what the ground rules are and the housekeeping rules are. You come in, you smash a like, you close the chat on your phone if you're watching it on your device, and you smash a like and subscribe to the channel. And head over if you're feeling generous. I know it's not the end of the month, but some of you get paid on a weekly basis or a fortnightly basis, and shows the support and love that you've been showing us from day dot. And become a BNR Ultra. What's a BNR Ultra? You're basically going to get 3-4 shows a week that is only available to members only. At the moment, I'm not going to lie, there's nothing there at the moment, but in 3-4 days' times, our studio will be ready and will allow us for you to enjoy all that content coming your way. What's going on, people? Ben, how we doing, my friend? What's going on? There's we are. I like that noise. It means someone's come into the building, and it looks like Julian Ward is joining us. But before I go to them, Ben, what's happening? What's going on? I'm sure you've kept yourself busy by looking out for all those Newcastle updates today. How are we doing, my friend?
Good evening, gents. Good evening, everyone. Won't bore anyone with work. It's insane in my job at the moment. It's very busy, but when it comes to football, equally very busy. There's some crazy stuff happened again today. Some very positive news for the Reds, which is great to see, and some slightly negative news for a certain Northeast club as well, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But yeah, it's never a dull moment. This transfer window, my word, I've never known nothing like it. It is a daily dose of Ramsey Street, EastEnders, Coronation Street. All the drama that you could possibly think of is going off. And I've just been watching a few Newcastle channels just before we went live, just again to get the feel of the and needless to say, we are very much approaching the point at which his shirt is burnt. And they're doing dances around the stake, kicking him out, egging his windows of his sold house. Honestly, it's all going off. But as far as we're concerned, it's been an exciting day. Really positive.
Positive and exciting day, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, hard not to be excited, especially when you're talking about a potential 2 new signings coming in. It even makes it a little bit extra exciting. I mean, everybody knows the situation we have with our center backs and us being short in that position. I don't know if all of us expected to bring 2 in. I know we all expected to bring at least 1 in, and for us to be in advanced negotiations for 2 center backs is exciting, and these are 2 very good players. So I'm thrilled to say the least with the current developments in the transfer market.
Jean, how did you play today? How was your time? About 40 minutes in net. Was it good?
No, I did 45 minutes outside today. I'm getting there slowly but surely. I'm getting to that 60-minute mark. But it was a good game. I'm sure Abid's in the house. He'll remind us who won. But yeah, man, it's been a good day all in all, and today.
Did Abda play today?
Yeah, Abda played. You know that favorite Rabona trick I do? I've had that same trick for years. That one trick that I am. I got him with that today. He wasn't expecting it. Sure, he's probably having a shower right now. I had to need 2 minutes to have one, but yeah,
he doesn't have a shower. Trust me, I've sat next to him. Okay, let's go to what's been cracking and unfolding throughout the day. Leoni and Guehi. Yesterday we were having a conversation Jake, that we couldn't make our mind up. I think Aki and maybe Ben as well said there was maybe Liverpool putting a bit of pressure on Palace. And I was talking to you throughout the day. Every single time I've asked people who I know get information and close to the club, they kept on telling me that Liverpool this summer are still looking for an 18, 19-year-old defender. And it looks like Liverpool have, and it looks like that is the news, that Liverpool are looking for an 18, 19-year-old. And obviously Leoni it looks to be the one. Are you? I think you've had the same opinion as well for a while, Jake, that two centre backs is the option. But there's some news that broke out. I think, I don't know who reported it. There are some rumours and reports around Leoni being sent back for a 12-month loan. What's your thoughts about the general signing and the option to send him back to Parma for 12 months?
Yeah, those are good questions. I don't want to sit here and pretend or suggest that sending him back on loan isn't an option. I haven't heard it myself from anywhere. Not that I get any news or any kind of information from anywhere, but from any reliable journals or reporters, I haven't heard anybody even bring that idea up as a topic. So in my head, it's not an option. Now that doesn't suggest that it's not an option in reality, but in my head, it's not really an option because we need four center backs. And if you ask me, we only have three, assuming Guehi comes in. We only have two right now, but then once Guehi comes in, that's three. So I would consider this other kid, Leoni, the fourth center back, which we need four center backs. And I wouldn't really consider sending him out on loan. He's thought of very, very, very highly, obviously, in Italy. He's only 18 or 19. So when his name was brought up to come in as a third choice center back, for me, that didn't make as much sense. But when you bring him in as a fourth choice center back, that makes complete and total sense. We have huge question marks in the future over both of our center backs that we have right now. Van Dijk's only going to be here for 2 more years, most likely. And Konate, his future's up in the air going into next season after this coming season. So we're kind of getting ahead, I guess you could say, of the curve to replace some of these guys. But then at the same time, if you lose Konate next season, you're going to need to bring in another center back next season as well. So it's a very interesting dynamic because how much is our fourth choice center back really going to play this season? I don't know the answer to that question. And if it's not a lot, is the player himself better off spending another year in Italy to get more minutes, get more experience, get more game time, so that when he does come in next season, let's just say Konate's not here next season, and let's say he's third choice center back, you're going to need him to be in a position to play those minutes next season. So it's a very interesting dynamic. For me, I'd rather keep him with the team this season, even though I understand the idea of loaning him out, but I wouldn't be totally against or shocked if we did loan him out because of the dynamic going into next season of potentially losing Konate.
Ben, Leoni comes in, Guehi comes in. How much game time is Leoni getting?
It's $1 million question, isn't it, mate? Obviously there's chat about him going back on loan, but I think from Romano's saying, he seems excited about the project. He seems very keen to join Liverpool. So to me, that wouldn't make sense for him to say all those things and then just go straight back to Parma. And, I agree with Jake, to be honest. I think there's obviously big question marks over Gomez, even though I love Joe Gomez. I think we need those options. And I think we're in a position where we're going all in. I've said it a million times. We are going all in this season and next season. So I just think, what is the point of being really strong in one part of the pitch if you're really weak in another part of the pitch, because it undermines everything? So I think you need two. And I think what will happen is that Guehi will share the first team responsibilities with Konate and Van Dijk. There's going to be plenty of game time, starting a midweek game, starting a Sunday game after a big European game, etc., etc. And then Leoni, you can use him in the cup games. You can use him off the bench for 20 minutes, get him integrated, use him in the odd game when's required, and maybe even give Van Dijk a rest every now and then. So for me, he stays, he's part of the squad, he learns under Slot, and we develop him.
Okay, 100%. Apparently, if we loan him, Gene, he won't be homegrown. So it makes sense just to make sure he sticks around.
Great point.
Watches the likes of Virgil van Dijk train on a daily basis, even if he doesn't play a single minute of football at Anfield or wherever we go up and down the country. just by learning the trade from one of the greatest defenders to ever play the game, then it can only mean a good thing, right?
100%. And Asim, I'm a massive fan of him. He was the one player that I wanted in terms of the young defender. He was the one that I wanted after Mark Guehi. Mark Guehi was always the experienced one. We were never going to bring in two ready-made. And you mentioned they were looking at an 18, 19-year-old. And Leoni, for me, was the person I wanted more than any other centre-back out there. And for us to be, close to getting him signed up with Mark Guehi just shows that this football club means business. We're not here to faff about. We're here for the now. We're here for the future. We're ready to. We want a dynasty, and that's what Edwards and Hughes want to create. They want to create a dynasty where Liverpool is domination for the next 4 to 5 years. We need to go and dominate. We've got the best players in the world playing at this football club. We're signing the best players, and for us to carry on at this sort of level, you have to prepare. You have to prepare for the likes of Van Dijk going. And Leoni, for me, 18 years old, has all the attributes to kick on. He's tall, physical, strong, ball-playing centre-back. And under the tutelage of Van Dijk for the next 2 years, it would be massive for any defender. And honestly, today for me was a very important day because, we watched the Crystal Palace game. We saw some defensive deficiencies. Hughes and Edwards saw them 2 days after that. Bang, they're into the transfer market and said, right, we need to sort this out. They're going all out, and now we're hearing that both deals are pretty much advanced. Guehi obviously more so than Leoni. And look, fair play to him, man. What more can we ask for in regards to this summer? It's been an unbelievable summer. Credit to the ownership, credit to the board, because they're pulling these names and they're going for our number one targets. Even me, there was players who doubted that we would be able to take Leoni out of Italy. The guy's dreaming about playing for us already. He wants to come to Liverpool. That's what, going by what Romano said, that if when Liverpool come knocking, it's very difficult for anybody to say. And he's already thinking about coming to Liverpool. So I like that mentality in Leoni Asim. He doesn't want to stay in Italy, in his comfort zone. He's ready to take the plunge, ready to go in. He knows, he accepts that he's going to be fourth choice centre-back. But you have to understand his progression over the next 2-3 years could be huge. Within 2-3 years, this lad could be that good that he leads the line for Liverpool as the main centre-back for this football club in 2 years' time. So, you got to give Leoni that he's got the bottle to come to a football club at the magnitude of Liverpool and to take us hopefully to the next level.
I want to stick with you, Cheen. Jake touched on the Kanate situation. Are we bringing Leoni and Guehi in because we're worried about the Kanate situation and Gomez? Hypothetically speaking, we could have a situation where in a year's time, there's no Gomez at the club and no Ibu at the club. Is that why we're doing 2 centre backs right now?
I genuinely believe that there's a chance. Look, Gomez, we can really say that he hardly plays for this football club, and he hasn't done for a good number of years. He's always injured. He probably plays a maximum 18, 19 games a season. So you have to plan for that anyway. Quants are going. You definitely need to bring in one. There is a question mark over Kanate's future. We don't know if he's going to sign the contract yet. Of course, we want him to sign, and I do believe still he will sign, but we have to prepare for the worst possible outcome. And if Van Dijk is 34, Asim, you have to start planning. There's no if buts or maybes about this. You start planning now. You get the player in. You get, and it's a statement to Kanate saying, "Listen, my man, sign the contract. You'll be number one choice for this football club. If not, and you want to go, no problem. But you're going to leave a football club that has the potential to win every single trophy going over the next 5 years. We're going to be the favourites for the Champions League. At least in the top 2-3 teams in the world football right now. We're probably one of them. So if you want to go somewhere else, that's up to you. But I'm confident that Kanate will sign. But it's definitely a statement to the rest saying, look, we mean business and we are future-proofing and future planning.
Asim, do you think he will be loaned out if we sign him?
I think the chat raised a good point. I think the homegrown situation, and you don't need to register him and all that sort of stuff. I can see him sticking around, Jake. I can see. I was probably inclined towards the loan option, but I think this is it's an option that you'd be silly not to take advantage of it. So today I'll be more inclined towards he will stick around, and I probably taking a step back from the situation. If a player, he needs to get some minutes. And I know I asked Gene the question about watching, and learning from the professionalism of senior players like Salah and Van Dijk, and why wouldn't you want to watch them on a daily basis? But ultimately, look, let's be honest as well. You want him to develop at the club, and the only way he's really going to develop and take all those things that he's been taking and watching the senior players on the training field is getting some minutes on the pitch, and the versatility of Guehi does provide a bit of a problem for someone like Leoni. Why? Is because if Kanate is injured, Guehi comes in. If Van Dijk is injured, Guehi comes in. It's not Leoni, it's not Gomez. So I'm happy with that. I think it's obviously he's 24 years old. He's the better centre back, more developed, more experienced, and just a different stage of his career. But that is a fact that if it's someone like a Kanate who could really just play on the right side of defence, then it means the other people or other defenders will get more opportunities. But we just need to make sure he gets some type of minutes in the cup competitions, the FA Cup competition, the Carabao. Maybe if we are playing the likes of Gomez and that's the beauty of adding depth in other areas of the pitch. How many times of that famous game, the Plymouth game, the manager said, "Look, I did think that this team is bloody good enough to beat Plymouth, but it wasn't good enough to go deep into the competition." And adding quality and adding depth to the squad means we get further in the competitions where it will allow someone like Leoni to get more minutes in. So that's the beauty of really going deep and doing well in the transfer market, where you can go in deep in competitions, and it'll allow players like Leoni to develop.
Just another point on the game, on the minutes. Sorry to interject. I've just had a quick look on transfer market now, and his positional map says that he can play right back as well. And I just think maybe that's something that they've considered and thought, with clearly there's a little bit of an underlying issue with Bradley. Then maybe there's an option in certain games, certain situations where you go, we just need a little bit more solidity. We'll go we'll use him at right back and put him on when it's required, or when there's an option to be able to use him. If Frimpong's obviously playing further forward, covering covering Salah in some certain situations, maybe there's an option to be able to do that. A lot of teams have done well. Arsenal and City have gone with three centre backs across the back at certain games, haven't they? So it might be an option.
I think that's 69%. That 69% aerial duels percentage, and I think he's ahead of those 4 or 5 centre backs, the young ones, some young ones that we have been linked to as well. I don't know who put it up. Did I take a screenshot of it? I'm not so sure. But there was Jeremy Jacquet on there. There was a few of the centre backs on there. I can't remember who it was. I'll just quickly check. I might have started, but no, I don't think I started. I don't know who it was. But that, there it is, I think. Yeah. 64%, sorry, aerial duels. Head of Jeremy Jacquet, Pau Gobasi, Dean Huyson, and Gasiorowski, who's on
head of Dean Huyson.
Ahead of Dean Huyson. Dean Huyson's aerial duels were not great. We did talk about this when we linked it. Obviously, he is all about deep progression and balls into midfield. What I would say about, I did have a quick look, and Mizgan did send me a 3-page PDF on Giovanni Leoni, which I'll sign and I'll share it with you guys, and I'll probably do a stat show in focusing on Giovanni Leoni. His passing and his final third entries are not the greatest, but I don't expect them to be great. But that is 2 areas of improvement. He's a dueler, as an aerial dueler as well. So those
if
are
your
the things.
back to the wall against a Brentford away
Exactly.
or something like that, and you need an extra centre half, to defend the box. For a fact that loads of teams this season are just going to bomb balls into the box at every opportunity, aren't they? So when there's a situation where you just need to defend a scenario, then that might be a real weapon to have.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to Mark Guehi. Jake, before we came on, you absolutely were waxing lyrical about him. You were talking about his Sunday's performance, where we all agree he looked really good. Talking about being adaptable, versatile to different setups, different structures, different systems. He can do it all. And I think he'll fit in like a glove at Liverpool. And it looks like over the next 24 to 48 hours, Mark Guehi will officially become a Liverpool player.
Yeah, I have a lot that I want to to add in here on this subject. I don't even know where to start. Where should I start? I guess the first place where I want to start is you and I touched on this yesterday after the show that you did. I don't remember if it was in the morning or midday yesterday when you did, well, morning or midday for me. For
Yeah.
you, I don't know exactly what time it was. You touched on the defensive deficiencies that we have. Um, a lot of these defensive deficiencies that we have, I think, are structural. And I'm not going to suggest that it's not anything to do with personnel wise, because I do think that there are some issues personnel wise as well. However, I don't necessarily think that you just bring in a center back per se. Let's just say Mark Guehi or any other center back, Bastoni, you pick, whoever you want, and you put them into our team, that all of a sudden our defensive deficiencies are going to go away. So if that's not going to fix the issues, then it's not strictly down to a personnel issue. It's more to do with, in my opinion, the way that we set up, the way that the manager plays. You talked about on the show yesterday how he's adding an extra man in attack. Obviously, if you have an extra man in attack, you have a less of a guy protecting, in your rest defense. All of these things are true. So I think what Guehi brings to the equation, and this is to answer your question, you have somebody now that just from a defensive standpoint, just their natural ability, they're sound defensively. And that's what this team is missing more than physical attributes. When I talked about wanting to bring in Guehi last season at this time in the transfer window, from what I recall, most fans were completely against it. They talked about his aerial duel percentage. They talked about his height. They talked about his lack of pace. He can't really fill in for Konate because he doesn't have the pace. He can't fill in for Van Dijk because he's too short. Now all of a sudden we're talking about signing this guy with the exact same team and everybody wants him. But the point that I'm trying to make is he brings to the table what a lot of our players are missing, which is just a natural tendency to be a solid, a fundamentally sound defender in general, because we know the way that our team is built, 9, 10 out of these 11 players are attack minded first. Even our midfield, every single player in our midfield is attack minded first. Our fullbacks right now are attack minded first. So whether he starts or not, and this is why I wanted to interject when Ben brought it up earlier, we saw the manager go to Kwanzaa late in games as a third center back very, very often and play him as a right-sided fullback, whether that was for Trent on occasion, whether that was for Bradley on occasion, just to bring in that defensive stability. So whether it's Guehi that can come in and play that role, maybe on the left side or on the right side, I don't know. Or if it's this kid from Parma that can come in and play that right-sided that right-sided fullback role that Ben just mentioned, is just going to give us some additional defensive reinforcements. I think what Guehi brings again is just a player that is so sound fundamentally, and you're not going to see him make mistakes. And that's what we need. When you're defending a 2-1 lead like we had the other day, you need players that when you're sat in a low block, fundamentally, they just know what to do, and they're not going to make mistakes. And what happened to us when we were up 2-1 against Crystal Palace is we made a mistake in the back line. Obviously, they capitalized on it and they scored. And from what I've seen from this manager, he goes to this tactic often. So if we're going to utilize this mid-block tactic to defend the lead up 2-1, up 3-2, up 1-0, whatever the case is in the 60th, 70th, 80th minute, you need players like Mark Guehi that are going to be sound, that aren't going to make mistakes, that know how to sit and defend in a mid-block consistently and get you through the last 15, 20, 30 minutes of a match. That's where I think he brings the most skills to the table, because you don't need a player that's going to be fast. You don't need a player that's going to be strong. You don't need a player that's going to be able to jump high and win aerial duels. You need a player that's going to be sound, sitting in a mid-block, that's going to get you through the last 15, 20 minutes, because we know for the first 50 minutes, first 60 minutes, just like we saw against Crystal Palace, we're going to play blinding football, and we're probably going to have a lead. But going into the last 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes of a match, you have to be sound defensively, fundamentally understanding how to play in that setup. And I think that's where we're weak right now, especially with all the changes that we made. But Mark Guehi brings an added body to the team that's probably going to be amongst the best in that type of scenario in that game state. And that's why I'm very thrilled to have this signing, once it gets completed, for it to be completed.
Well, Jake, just to come back to you on that, doesn't Mark Guehi improve us? You're talking about structure, but I get what you mean. The structure needs to be sound. But in terms of personnel, you can have the two same structures. But if the personnel, we were talking about a similar situation where Szoboszlai and Wirtz, and I was saying, look, the structure generally will be the same, but Wirtz is on a different level. He's just more of a natural footballer, natural 10, and just a different type of brain. The structure will be there, but he will play differently. That it'll make Liverpool completely different. I'm not saying we're buying Florian Wirtz in terms of Mark Guehi, but what he does have over Konate is couple of things where he's a dual ball playing centre back. Konate is not a dual ball playing centre back. So that instantly, same structure, it improves the team by having deep progression. He's got the ball into midfield, which Konate needs to improve. Not my words, Arne Slot words. He's got the switch from the left side in centre back. He's got the switch from the right side in centre back. So we're talking about, you raised the point, I raised the point a couple of weeks ago about overcommitting. Mark Guehi allows us not to overcommit because he's got a couple of balls into midfield or over the structure and to bypass the press, where Ibu Konate doesn't. And what he also does have is recovery pace, and he has more duels on ground duels than Ibu Konate and Virgil van Dijk. Aerial duels, I give you, is a concern, and hopefully we can improve that. We can maybe protect him a little, but he is a player that can stand on the halfway line and make sure we can sustain attacks with him and another centre back there. So I get what you're saying, but with Mark Guehi coming in, he does improve the structure and personnel, no?
Yes, 100%. But to the point that I was trying to make, let's just assume, and this is a big assumption on my part, because if somebody wants to sit here and argue with me that Guehi is going to push Konate for a starting position, I won't argue against that. But let's just pretend that Konate is still the starting center back partnered with Van Dijk. In this scenario, when you bring Guehi in, let's just say minute 65, minute 70, minute 75, in this scenario, under this game state, I'm suggesting he's coming into the game for one of the fullbacks, for Frimpong, for Bradley, or for your left back, whoever's playing at that point in time, whether it's Robertson or Kirkes. And now you have a back line with three center backs and one fullback, however the manager decides to play it, because we saw him utilize that formation last season when he would take Bradley out of the game, when he would take Trent out of the game.
Yeah, just to stop you there, bro. That normally happened when one of Bradley or Trent was injured. When they were both available, Trent did 60, Bradley did 30.
Yeah, there's some truth in that also. So I want to see when the fullbacks are all healthy, if he still utilizes a similar tactic, going to Guehi or another center back as a right back, or like you said, maybe he doesn't do that and he sticks with the fullbacks. And then to answer your other question, if he comes in for Konate, whether that's as a starter or as a sub, of course, it's going to bring you a different dynamic to the game. But just like the Sobo and Wirtz dynamic situation is as a 10, you're going to have some pros to bring in Wirtz in, and then there's going to be a couple of cons to bring in Wirtz in and taking Sobo out of that position. The same thing's going to apply with Konate and Guehi. There's going to be some pros for bringing Guehi in, but you're also going to lose some things for taking Konate out. So it all depends on how the manager wants to utilize the players. What it does, it gives you flexibility, it gives you options, it gives you different variables on how to play different opponents in different situations and in different game states. And that's ultimately what we all want, is to be able to play different types of way for whatever the opponent is, whatever the game state is.
Okay. You still there, boys?
Yeah, no, we're just very, very eloquently listening. Very interesting discussion. I'm just thinking to myself, coming in, coming out. But I think it's going to be really interesting because I agree with Jake there. There's things that Konate can do that Guehi can't, and there's things that Guehi can do that Konate can't. But I don't think Guehi's coming in thinking that he's going to be third choice. I think he's coming in thinking I'm going to be starting in this Liverpool team sooner rather than later. I think he's a ball playing centre back. He offers a lot. He's got a really strong leadership skills as well, which is interesting. And it puts the ball back in Konate's court as well. There's still obviously question marks over Konate's contract. So it's all of a sudden, right? Okay, well, if you are going on a free next summer, then we're not desperately need to play you. We can just rest you here and there, and you decide how much you want to play for this team. That sort of attitude. I think it's really interesting. I think Guehi's coming possibly in the knowledge that it will take him a few months to become first choice, but over time he will. Because everyone keeps on saying that he's looking for game time, isn't he? He's
And
not coming here if he's going to start for England next summer.
And Gene, the easy option would have been gone to a Spurs, gone to a Newcastle. There was some report just before we came. Apparently, Newcastle didn't bid, but there was a belief that they knew where he's going and where he preferred to go. So this is a theme running throughout the whole summer, isn't it, Gene? Frimpong wanted to come to us. There was links with Man United. I'm sure there'll be plenty of teams interested in Jeremy Frimpong, available around £35 million. Kirkes wasn't answering calls from City and Madrid. And I could go through Florian Wirtz. I could go through Ekatike, all ignoring calls. It's the summer of Liverpool.
Asim, this is the thing that we have to give, again, the board a lot of credit, and honest lot. They've done an unbelievable job over the summer. We thought they didn't buy anyone last year, and we were like, what the hell's going on? They all year they just spent boxing off the players that they were going to go and buy, and every single player that we've gone in for wants us. We're their number one choice. They're ready to wait. They're ready to say no to any other club. And we've seen that from the first player to the last player. Every single player is just saying, get me on, get me to Anfield, get me to Kirby. I want to be playing for Liverpool Football Club. They don't want to play for anybody else. And that shows, number one, that Edwards and these guys, the way they've spoken, and this project itself, this Liverpool project, is a brilliant project. They're not going to a broken football club. They're going to the champions of England, and a team that's arguably one of the best in the world. And the way it's played out, they're seeing players like Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekatike, Frimpong, Kirkes, Guehi, Isak. They're all saying everybody wants to be part of this football club right now. We can go for anybody. I would be shell-shocked if any player number one, turns us down, and number two, chooses another club. Look, Hoyson was a different case. Even though he's Spanish, he wanted to go to Real Madrid, but give him more chances of playing for his country. Fair play, I have no issue with that. You want to go there, no problem. But the rest of them, Asim, we boxed off. And it's the same with these players, Guehi and Leoni. We've gone in, we've boxed them off. Doesn't matter who comes in. If we want them and we put the money down on on the table, they are coming to Liverpool Football Club. And honestly, I got to give why wouldn't you want to play for this football club right now? Why? There's no reason why you wouldn't.
It's a domino effect, isn't it? It's like a snowball, one after the other, where they're all just like, yeah, well, if he's coming, I want to come. If he's coming, I want to come. Ekatike and Guehi, they've been done within 48 hours, more or less, haven't they? It was almost as if, like, right, it's your turn to come, and he's done within 2 days, because you feel as though it was all just prepped and lined up, and all the groundwork's been done by the team over the last few months. Spot on, Gene.
100%. Let's head over. I was just going to say they're still over. We're going to be going for about half an hour or so. There's over 1,000 people in the building. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Let's go to some super chats. Alex, as ever, always supporting the boys and the channel. He says, Palace and New delay sales till after we play them. Okay. I was talking about this Community Shield, wasn't I, Ben?
Yeah, we did talk about it yesterday, didn't we? And we said that could be the reason. And it's almost as if, like, right, thanks very much, well done, shake hands, time to come to Liverpool.
And fair play. If they wanted those big boys, especially Guehi, represented them, because with all due respect to Crystal Palace, Community Shield is, I know it's a big day out for everyone, but
we want to win it. It'd be rude to say that we didn't. Like, it's not the end of the world, but we all went there to win it. We didn't go there to lose it. So you can't be hard faced about it and say, oh, we ain't bothered, because we want to win.
Ben, if you win it, it's a trophy. If you lose it, it's a 50p coin. That's it.
That's the one, mate. That's how it works. We all know that.
We have a new member, Adam H.
May.
HH May. I don't want to get these wrong. I'm absolutely, since Avi has been like going for me, I just stop and I just wait for someone like Ben just to read it out for me. Thank you so much, Adam, for becoming a YouTube member. Head over to Twitter, either message me or BNR, but the BNR account, and we'll send you the WhatsApp Ultra link. LFC 786, mad shout. I think I missed one. I'm coming back to that from Mohsin. Mad shout, but I reckon Guehi could be used as a DM. Wow. At times with how the DM drops into the back line. Also, his ball playing is top. Makes sense, in my opinion. Anyone want to take that?
Really interesting shout, though.
Jake, you're on mute.
Yeah, I wanted you to take that. What are your thoughts on that idea?
I respectfully disagree. At times, he's right.
Playing
He
DM.
doesn't really respectfully
He's not
disagree.
playing
He's
DM,
thinking,
man.
he's talking out your ass, mate. There's no chance he's
No,
playing.
to be fair to him, what I was going to elaborate on is where I could see him coming into midfield.
From fullback
midfield is
position.
from a fullback, inverted fullback, because we do. How many times have we all said he's a similar profile to Joe Gomez? And Joe Gomez can do a job there if
Yeah.
he's third,
Yeah.
fourth, fifth choice. Can Guehi do that? Yes. But our, generally speaking, on a possession based, when the when the press is aggressive, that is when you generally see when the team, like for example, 5-3-2, Crystal Palace are pressing in an aggressive 5-3-2, and they jump with the two strikers. Then you need a +1 option in our back line, and you'll see the DM go into and split the centre backs. But generally speaking, it's a 4-3-3, a 4-5-1. You need an Arnie Slot. I think it mentioned it in an interview he did with BT Sport last year, and he stopped the DM and he said, "Look, this is where I want my DM to receive the ball," and that's one reason why Van Dijk to Gravenberg is the pass that we've seen is the most, the highest pass in terms of percentage in the Premier League, and it's for a reason, because we want our number 6 to receive back to goal, and this is where I don't think Guehi can do. He can come in and be the extra man, to be the main guy, the orchestrator in midfield, our DM. Not for me.
No. I
Okay.
could definitely see him playing the right back, though. Definitely see him covering right back without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Mohsin, can you see us playing 3 centre backs in certain games? I think we touched on this. How like sometimes I think Arsenal, Arteta played Saka. He went a 5 at the back. It was that 2-2 game where we were pressing for a winner. I think it was definitely Anfield, and he went 5 at the back with Saka. I can't see us going 5 at the back with someone like Salah, but I can see us going 5 at the back with Kanate, Guehi, and Van Dijk for 5-10 minutes just to see out a game away to PSG in the Champions League semi-final with Kirkez and Frimpong as wing backs. I can see that, and I think you should, and what you guys been talking about today, you should have those options. And if Arnie Slot has got that option, then he'll be stupid not to use it in moderation anyway. I think that's all the supers. Let's go to the customary conversation of Alexander Isak. Jake, you always enjoy talking about Isak, because you're going to tell me I've been talking about it for about 10 months, but you can talk to me about Alexander Isak for the next 10 months if you like. The war of narrative. When you woke up, or when I woke up, I don't know exactly when you saw those tweets from the Newcastle journalists, was there a bit of fear, concern in your mind, in your heart, that the narrative is changing, that Newcastle are feeding their journalists the pitch and the brief that, we fucked it up in the transfer market, but you know what? You're staying, big man, because we can't get anyone.
Which briefings are you referencing? Because I don't know which one this is.
I
one
think
from today?
in the morning, there was about 2-3 journalists who came out with a similar story.
To be fair, I don't follow any of these Newcastle journalists. I'd be lying to you that I did. But I didn't have any of those feelings this morning, so I don't think that I saw any of them. When I woke up this morning, and granted, this was probably 1 a.m. my time, it was the Ornstein, Ornstein report that said Isak is done playing for Newcastle, whether he sold this window or not. So from the moment that I woke up, that didn't give me the sensation or the feeling that you're referencing right now. What that gave me was the butterflies in my stomach telling me my man is going all out to play for this football club. And I saw some people posting it on Twitter. I still call it Twitter. After that bomba from Ornstein, basically saying that this player Isak is going to be so universally loved because he's doing everything in his power to make this move happen. And I'm not sure I can ever recall a player of his caliber pushing this hard to play for this football club, at least not in the time that I've been supporting this club. So once this deal gets done, the only thought that crosses my mind is he's instantaneously going to be one of my favorite players at this team, without a question. If my favorites right now are Van Dijk and Salah, Isak is going to be right up there with both of them the moment he puts his name on the dotted line, signing his contract as a football player for this club. So I didn't get any of those feelings or those sensations that you're referencing right now. The only feelings and sensations I've had all day were that this deal is getting closer and closer. And I've never doubted that the deal was going to happen. As I've always said, it's just a matter of when, not if. And as the days on the calendar continue to go by, in my opinion, we're just getting closer and closer to this deal getting done. But as I've always said, this deal was never going to be done in time for him to play against Newcastle United. I don't know if the deal's going to get done on the 20th, on the 22nd, or the 26th, or the 28th, or the 1st of September. But whenever it gets done, he's not playing in that match. And I've always anticipated it breaking down this way. So the fact that we're talking about getting Guehi done and this kid from Parma, Leoni, done, what that just does is basically just confirm what I always thought, which was this Isak deal is going to be the last deal of the summer for this club. And that's what I always expected.
And Ben, okay, I'm going to take you there because you saw those tweets in the morning. Any concerns? Any concerns for you?
Can somebody tell me what these tweets said?
Sorry?
Can somebody tell me what these said?
There were basically a couple of articles from the Newcastle journalists saying that if Newcastle don't get their replacements, there's increasing chances that Isak stays at the club.
Yeah, the words were as the days go by, it's less and less likely that Isak will come to Liverpool because there's less and less time for Newcastle to sign replacements. And their big hand is, they can sort of say to Isak, well, we tried to sign replacements, but unfortunately we didn't. And I just think, his camp are like, well, that's not washing now. We're not having that. And then obviously they dropped the big bomber through Ornstein that they're never kicking a football for Newcastle again. So that's where we're at, which I was laughing my head off at, to be honest. Honestly, and my word, the Newcastle TV channel, the Newcastle fan channels went off then rocker, which was good watches, that's for sure. But yeah, I think it's nasty now. It's really, it's really awkward. And I think there's lots and lots of ways of looking at it. As I say, you can look at it from a Newcastle perspective. You're looking at it from a Liverpool perspective. From our perspective, we're building a statue for him already because the man's making himself, he's sleeping on I read one message before, Isak sleeping on the streets to come to Liverpool. It's like...
You got a spare room, Ben? Have you got a spare room?
I am. I've told him he can top and tail with me. I'll kick the missus out, no problem.
Hope she's not watching next door, mate.
No, she is. Yeah, me dad's watching actually, so he'll grass me up, I'm sure.
If there's a power cut, we know why.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, no, kill that. Yeah, no, I think it's messy now. It really is messy. I'd say the majority of the Newcastle fan base now are now basically regarding him here as a traitor, a rat. All of the hyperbolatives of the fact that they just don't want him to play for them no more, and he's gone too far, and he's had to, from our perspective, he's almost been backed into a corner because he's clearly made agreements with Newcastle anything up to 5 to 12 months ago, and he feels as though he's been let down by Newcastle. And my stance on it is, they say, oh, we can't let him go until they get a replacement or suitable replacements, because even then, when they're even saying if we get Vissa, well, that's not enough. We need 2, or we need 1 of a higher quality. We need like a Sesko or whatever. Let's have it right. There are no replacements for Isak because he's the best. He's the number 1. So they're not replacing him with like for like because he's of such a standard that it's impossible to replace him. So they've got to try and get the best possible replacement they can. But what does that mean? Does that mean next summer, if they can't get a replacement, he stays again? And it's like, he's given them 12 months notice and he wants to come to Liverpool. So he feels as though he's given them ample time to be able to do something about it. And I think deep down, Newcastle have buried their head in the sand, that the hierarchy, that the structure of the club has gone to pot with, the CEO walking, etc., the DOF walking. and they've had a situation where they're like, well, we've got Champions League now, so fingers crossed Isak will just change his mind and we'll be fine. Like, but he's not changed his mind because he wants to win. He wants to win stuff, and that's the way that it is. You know, it's not an ideal situation. It's tough to take. We've had to deal with it in the past, but the best thing they can do now is get the maximum amount that they can get for him and just move on. Because all this nonsense about putting him in the reserves and letting him rot for 12 months, I know that PIF have got more money than you can shake a leg at, but they haven't got more money within the structure of PSR. So if they're selling, if they're keeping that £130 asset in the reserves, then they can't just go and replace them with two other strikers because, according to the books, they're breaching PSR. So unless that's what they're prepared to do, and I doubt very much that they will. So I think that they've got to make a decision and say, you know what, we'll sell him. He doesn't want to play for us. We'll get the maximum amount for him, and we move on. As tough as it is. As tough as it is, and that's where I think it's going to go. But I do think it will be a thing where they cling on for grim death, and it will go right to the wire. Now it will definitely be after the Liverpool game, I think.
Gina, Newcastle suddenly spending all their money in a candy shop over the last 24 hours.
Well, they're going to be spending a lot of it, mate. They're going to be spending a lot of money over the next few weeks because Alexander Isak will not be a Newcastle player come towards the end of the transfer window. All this nonsense, about they're going to do this and they're going to do that. They can't do shit. He's coming to Liverpool. They can't do shit. Alexander Isak doesn't want to play for your football club. He's told you, I don't want to go anywhere near that training ground. I don't want anyone to be integrated back into to this team. Let me leave this football club. You promised me all sorts. You didn't deliver. I delivered you a trophy for the first time in 70 years, right? I was the catalyst. You got that from me. I got you Champions League football. Now let me go and play for Liverpool Football Club. That's his dream. You're getting a British record fee for him. Oh yeah, Newcastle let the lad go, man. What's wrong with you? Just let him go. We offered you Darwin Núñez, you didn't want him. We offered you Harvey Elliott, you didn't want him. You know, if you don't want these players, that's on you. Go and find your replacements. You've had a year to think about it. You've had a year to sort it out. You've not done it because, you're not as big as you thought you were. You thought this was going to be the transfer window where you were going to go all out and say, yeah, we're here. But, mate, this is Liverpool Football Club. We're bigger than you. We're stronger than you. Doesn't matter who your owners are. Right now, we've gone up against the likes of Man City, who have had billions and billions of pounds, and when we hardly used to spend any money, and we can go toe to toe with them. So who the hell are you, mate? You don't mean anything. So you stay in your lane, just hand Alexander Isak over to Liverpool because that's where he wants to be, and you can say and do whatever you want. We are taking your prized asset. That's
Fight and talk from Gene tonight. Love
it.
it.
Beginning to piss me off a little bit because they talk shit, man. All the time. Yeah, we're this big club. We're gonna do this.
I know,
and
it is mad. It is mad.
Got a few Geordies in the chat. They want
I don't care about it. Look, some of them are all right, to be fair. Look, Man City signed James Trafford. He was supposed to be Newcastle's number 1. He's number 2 at Man City. So you have to understand what there's a framework, there's levels. You have to understand that, and it's going to take time for Newcastle to get there. You're going to have to sell a few players, go again. You might be a big club, like a proper challenging for a title in 5 years' time. I'm not saying you're not, but right now you're not. That's how it is.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
All the Geordies watching.
They feel very naive fan base, to be honest. That's the way it comes across, unfortunately.
For all the Geordies watching, Sheen's traveling to St. James's Park very, very soon. So
I'll be in the away end. I'm not doing no watching on that day. I'm telling Asim right now.
What are you doing the watch along with me, man?
I ain't doing no watch along, man. I'm going to Newcastle.
We're doing rock, paper, scissors to see who goes to Newcastle. Nobody wants to go.
I'll shake on that. Let's do it. Live rock, paper, scissors. Whoever wins, goes with Jake and Ben to watch the game. But what a game, Ben. Not Ben, Jake. Monday night, under the lights. I saw some tweets from the Geordies as well that Joe Linton and Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes are going to be kicking at the ankles of Florian Wirtz and McAllister. And it's going to be it'll be a really good atmosphere anyway. But now it could be the game of the season, Jake. It normally is anyway, but it could be the game of the century for all we know.
Yeah.
Before I touch on that, I want to ask you a question because you've been giving your opinion on when you thought this transfer was going to start making some traction. End of last week, you said Wednesday, which is tomorrow.
Did I say
we're going to see? Yeah, you said Wednesday. You said Wednesday.
Okay.
So now I'm going to ask you, when are we going to
I say a lot
start
of
seeing some
things. I say
traction
a lot of
on
things.
this transfer?
Look, we have to be realistic. That was just a complete prediction. I said Wednesday. We have to see what's happening with Leoni and Guehi. There are some people who think these two deals will be more or less done, if not done officially, by the end of the week. Is that quickly? Especially the Guehi one, the Leoni. It could. I'll tell you exactly what I got told today. Sorry to give you a bit of a silence. I actually, I actually think Leoni deal is done. It's about the timing between the clubs. Guehi is about the add-ons. I'd be shocked if both weren't done by the end of the week. So just to give you that, that's not my information. That's someone who I speak to on a regular basis. You know who it is. I'll tell you later on behind stage when we go off stream. But yeah,
We know.
I think we'd still make a movement on Isak this week.
This week. Okay, we should make some movement this week. All right.
Yeah.
To answer your question, listen, the three of us, me, you, and Sheen, you guys have been there much longer than I have, but we've both gone to, all three of us, excuse me, gone to St. James Park the last 2 years together. We were there for the Nunez comeback winner, and we were there last year for the gut wrenching kick in the stomach, where Kelleher, had the blunder at the end of the
Yeah.
game, and we end up with the draw.
And we ended up with a nice hot Dixie as well. Don't forget.
That's correct. So without the Isak saga, this match on a Monday night was always going to be an incredible football match, an incredible atmosphere. St. James Park, even though I haven't been to all of the away grounds, not even nearly all of the away grounds, the ones that I have been to, Man City away, Man United away, Arsenal away, St. James Park is my favorite out of all of those, all the away grounds that I've been to so far. So it's always going to be an amazing game, especially under the lights on a Monday night. You add in the Isak saga, the emotion of their fans, and all of that tied in together. It's a shame that he's not going to play in the match, because if he was playing in the match, I think he would take it even another notch higher than it's already going to go. But unfortunately for the Newcastle supporters, the state of their team right now is just so dire. I don't think they've won a preseason match. Not to suggest that these preseason games are the end all be all, but they're in such a difficult position when it comes to personnel wise. They don't have a striker right now. They're playing Anthony Gordon up top. I don't even know if he's fit. I think he got injured the last match. It might not be serious, but he got injured the last match. The team camaraderie, the morale, the way the fans are taking on the entire saga, it's just a whole negative situation. If obviously, which I've been predicting, Isak doesn't play for us, which is probably not going to happen. He's not going to play for us. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult for us. But I just can't see Newcastle winning the match for sure. Best case scenario, maybe they can get a draw, is what I'm thinking. But I think we should be there expecting 3 points, which is, I guess, optimistic for me to say, because normally in a situation like that, I wouldn't be predicting us to win this type of match. But they're just in such a bad position right now. I know their fans are going to be up for it, their players are going to be up for it, but I don't see us dropping points in that game, if I'm being honest.
Gene, that's not going to be a league game. It's going to be a cup game.
100%. There is going to be one unbelievable game. And I think they will be up for it. The crowd will be up for it. The players will be up for it. They're going to try to get one over us. And the cup final showed that when they're on it, when all their team and they're fit and fiery, they can cause this Liverpool team problems. Of course, there's been changes to this for Liverpool team. We're not going to be this team that turned up in the cup final. I'm pretty confident that we will go there and we'll go to Newcastle and beat them. I think we will go to Newcastle and show them what we are about. I'm confident we're going to win all three of our first games. I don't go into a season thinking we're not going to win. We're going to go there. We're going to tell Newcastle there's a reason why Alexander Isak wants to play for our football club, because he wants to win a title. And we've come here and shown you that we're winning. We beat you probably without Alexander Isak. That's what we're going to show them. And to be fair to them, they've always done well, because Alexander Isak is one guy that always scores against us. Imagine that guy not playing, the one that does score against you. Bro, they're going to get it, man. And I'm willing to do the rock, paper, scissors with you tonight on show. So make sure whoever goes. So me and Asim will do that because I want to go to that game.
Wow.
Right? Because I'm going to go to
I
the game.
wasn't expecting that.
Listen, this guy will make up excuses. So he's got
No,
no
no.
excuses then.
Look, this is going to be our second watch along. It actually won't be. It could be our first.
It is going to be
We're not
probably.
gonna be-
Runs away. That's what you get.
See
with this
Jake, he
man.
runs it. See Jake,
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 like he does.
Jake.
Like he does.
Your
When
pitch
he's
share is
there.
bigger than the club.
Look, Jake.
Gene is
See?
the man of the people. Gene has no issues doing it on
He's
live
not
on
the man of the people. He's been selfish. He wants to go in the away end. I know why you're pushing him because you're going to be in the country as well.
Nah, but on a
I'll
serious-
go if you really want someone to go. I'm
You're
desperate
both
to
gonna-
go.
You're both going to end up in Bradford on that back.
Yeah. I've never ever been to St James's Park. I
Yeah,
would
don't
love
worry,
to
you're
go.
never
but
gonna
I
go and
love-
visit
I
the
love
no,
that
I'm
way.
never gonna go.
I don't know what it is.
Gene,
I
I go, don't worry, you'll never go. That won't work on me, Ben. Forget about it.
No,
Listen,
not a chance.
Ben, Asim's a right gate, by the way, so don't be expecting
It's
him to do you
fine,
any
it's
favors.
fine.
I'll do you
Yeah,
favors,
I'm
mate. He's
I'm
not
working
doing
away.
it.
We're working away. I'm Southampton in the cup, third round away. That's what it'll be.
No, but on a serious note, yeah, it's probably one of the best. Like Jake mentioned, I love going up there. I hate the steps, like somebody's mentioned. The walk up themselves is a pain in the ass. But honestly,
why you
I've
wanna
had
go?
some unbelievable
Yeah,
wins. You know why, Asim? I'll tell you
Have
why.
have they not even gotten any lifts, the scruffs?
No, they haven't, man. It's a bloody.
No,
You
not
could
that
climb
bad.
Mount Everest. But you know the why I like Newcastle away because
Richest
we've
club
had
in the
some
world and they haven't even got
unbelievable
lifts.
wins. 5-1. Remember Gerard and all these guys? I said we went 5-1. We were there for the Origi winner. We were there for Darwin Núñez. Of course, last year would have been probably the best because it was Salah scoring the winner. But that bloody, that goal at the end really hurt me, because that Salah winner would have been just the icing on the cake. And I've just got this feeling this time around, Florian Wirtz is going to do some magic, man.
Because of Kelleher, I had to go for a double chicken fillet to drown my sorrows.
No, on a serious note, I think it's an unbelievably difficult game. I think these will be up for this more than you can possibly imagine. If we're close to or have even signed Isak, that ground will be feral. And it will be tough. It will be tough. But then at the same time, I want to see Liverpool step up because they got humiliated in the Carabao Cup final. And I know there's circumstances where that leading up to it, we had an unbelievably difficult run. Really tough, obviously, game against PSG. But we owe them big time. We owe a big performance. And if we're sat here like Billy Big Bollocks saying we're the team that Isak wants to go to, we're the big club, we're the big boys, then we need to go up there and show them.
Jake, I'm going to ask you a question. Will Alexander Isak be on the bench for Liverpool at St. James's Park?
For which club?
For Liverpool.
I wouldn't be surprised if the answer
Yes
is
or no, brother? Yes or no? Yes or no, Bravs?
no.
I'll go next. When is the game?
Let me ask you a different question. When you're saying
It
on the
is.
bench, you're saying as an available substitute, or you just mean on the bench watching the match? Because those are two different things. On the bench as an available substitute, 100% no. On the bench watching the match.
When is the game, Gene?
Not this
Game
week.
is-
The Monday after. Not this Monday coming. The Monday after.
Is it the 25th
19
of August?
25th of August, mate, yeah.
What is it today?
A week before the transfer window closes.
Right, you're not going to give your answer. Let me give you mine. He comes on and scores at the Gallagher end for Liverpool. Let me give you an answer. You love bloody. This is why I want to go to that game, man.
Have you heard the Lucas Aid Sport tonight before football,
No,
because you're on it tonight.
Jane,
You
you ain't
are on
going.
it
He's not
tonight.
gonna be
See,
on the
look
bench.
at my Jake. You won't let me experience that moment.
You know
man.
what? I was gonna say yes. He is gonna be on the bench.
You're gonna be on the bench. He's gonna come on and
What?
score. I'm telling
Is
you.
there a but, or that's it? Is there a but that you were gonna say? I was gonna say yes. Is there a but, or that's all you
No,
want to say?
Gene came in there first, didn't he?
Okay.
I deliberately asked you that question because I knew you were gonna say no because you've been saying he ain't gonna go. He ain't gonna play that game. Ben, do you think he's gonna be on the bench? Available to play?
Absolutely no chance.
I knew that
No
was.
chance, because there's not enough seats on the bench for the bodyguards that would be required to protect them.
Jake, is it gonna
Not-
be?
not
Is
a
it gonna be
chance.
Figo to Real Madrid? Like, sorry, so Figo to Real Madrid when he goes back to that's back to Barcelona, isn't it? Imagine he goes back, man. That's gonna be
You know what
crazy.
though? On a serious note, he's got that much ego and that much front and that much confidence in himself. The fact that he's prepared to tell Newcastle, his current players, that he will never kick a ball for them again. That's the sort of attitude and mentality that makes me think he will absolutely love to go up there and show them why he's not what's called part of their team anymore. So I just don't think that we would want to fuel that fire any more than it needs to be, because I just think
on the bench.
there's no
Newcastle's the one that's scared for Isak to be on our bench. That's the reason why he won't be on the bench, not because Isak is scared. They're scared.
Yeah, let him smash one against them at Anfield when things have settled down.
No, I want Gallagher end, man. For Liverpool. That's
Can you imagine?
You want to see this? So let me see that, man. Asim, it's sort it out.
The better question though is it done? What is it done by the game?
Yes. Another 4. It's a lot. You know, the game is 25th. What is it? 12th today. That's
6 days before. Because thinking about it logically, if it's not done by that point, we will have had to have pivoted to somebody else, and I can't possibly imagine that we will have waited. We will wait until 5 days before the end of the window to pivot to someone else. So I think there will have to be movement in the next week. Surely.
Jake, you disagree, Jake?
I disagree with this first thing that he said, not the latter part. The latter part, what he said, which I do agree with, there will have to be movement. There will be movement. It doesn't have to be done by the game. Case in point, just look at what happened on Sunday until now. Sunday, 2 days later, Guehi's done. Basically, nothing had transpired up until now on Guehi. 2 days later after the game, it's done. So from the 25th, my point is from the 25th until the end of the window, it's ample time to get a deal done for Alexander Isak. Just because the deal's not done by the 25th doesn't mean we have to pivot on to a different target. But I do agree there will be movement between now and then that will suggest us that this deal is moving along. I just don't know if that's going to happen this week or next week or the day or two before the game. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think this Ramsey deal is suddenly quite significant because he's a serious player. He's an attacking player. He's not cheap. He's going to cost 40 odd million. They've just got a centre back over the line for 35 million. So all of a sudden they are spending a few quid. They still need to get Visser in, which is going to be another 40 million. And I think the rumours or the suggestions at the beginning of the summer was they had about 100, 120 to spend. So all of a sudden, if they're spending close to that, then they can't really do much else, and they still need a midfielder, I think. And they're looking they're looking at Jacob Ramsey. They've got Ramsdale in, haven't they? So I think they're almost getting everybody but the striker really now. So they're getting themselves into a position where they could, in theory, go into the season without. But I think if they get Visser over the line as well, then that suddenly makes the conversation interesting. I just don't know where they pivot to now. That's the question. I don't know who to go for.
What's the latest on who they're targeting for a striker? Obviously Wissa, but the main striker.
Yeah, it's gone quiet.
Is it Jackson?
It's gone quiet. Well, yeah, I think from what I've read from the Newcastle journalists, the 50-50 split on Jackson. Some people like him, some people don't. So they're a bit up and, a bit 50-50. I think that Samu's been mentioned from Porto, but he got quoted as being too much at this point, so they've walked away from that. So the only other one that they haven't gone for yet is Ollie Watkins. Ironically, they're playing Aston Villa on Saturday as well, which is obviously their first game of the season. So that might be another scenario where Villa need to get a replacement if they're going to go for him, but he's not going to be cheap either. He's going to be 60 odd million, and he's obviously 29. So I think the idea is that they don't want two older players. They want a younger one and maybe an older one. So there isn't a huge amount of options, but we have to hope that they do get something planned in the next few weeks. Chat saying there, Larson from Wolves, I've heard him mentioned as well, but doesn't feel like there's that much more movement. But I wonder whether or not now they're just going to keep their powder dry and be quiet, because it doesn't do them any favours to keep on publicly declaring that they're in for X, Y, Z, and then it just basically goes to shit. Yeah, so might as well just do something behind the lines, and then until it's absolutely done, keep quiet.
Fabrizio Romano, Liverpool want Leoni to be available for Arne this season, not to go on loan.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
So he's
Emphasizing what we were saying.
I never understood.
I like
the
that.
idea of
I'm chuffed
sending
with
him
that.
on loan.
same. I don't want. Why are we going to send him on loan? Yeah, we just paid what the asking price that they want. Bloody keep him.
Yeah, yeah,
Keep him at this football club. He will get.
yeah.
You know, he's only 18 years old. I'd really rate this kid. And I want to see him because we can't be sold short, man. That's one thing. I don't want to go into the sea. Even with Mark Guehi, I still feel we're short. So bringing in two is the perfect blend.
Yeah, it's a perfect scenario as well because there's no pressure on him, is there? You know, he doesn't come in and have to perform. He can adapt to the country. You know, he's only a young lad. He might have to get put up with the family because that's what Liverpool tend to do with young kids who come over, unless he gets brought over with his own family. But it's a totally new culture. He's got to learn the language, integrate into the squad, get to know the teammates, etc., etc. It's a big change for him, but if he's got that much potential and we want to work with him, then let him develop for his first year and just dip him in and out when we have to.
Agreed.
Could Joe
Hoyland
Gomez
is
leave?
Another name. Sorry to interrupt. Hoyland is another name for Newcastle that was brought up recently.
That'll be hilarious.
What?
I'll be all over
Imagine
that.
Which name is it?
Give United
Hoyland.
money. Hoyland.
Bloody
Imagine
hell.
they give
Going
United
to
money.
Newcastle.
I can't see that, man.
No, I can't either. But in answer to your question there, Joe Gomez, that's an interesting one as well. That could obviously still happen, but I just feel as though now he's at the point where he's damaged goods, and I just don't think anybody is really going to run the risk of paying 30, 40 million for someone who you just can't bank on reliability-wise, which is such a shame. But he's like part of the furniture now, isn't he?
Super chat from Ali. He says, Asim, when do we bid for Isak? Ali, you wasted £2 there because I can't tell you. Even if I knew, I would text you right now. But it's not common knowledge, but there's a consensus amongst fans and the people who do get news that there will be some sort of movement. I think even Ben Jacobs mentioned there needs to be some sort of clarity. So I think Liverpool are pushing. And I still stick to my point that there's an acceptance on both sides privately that the player will get his wish and join Liverpool. I want to ask you a question before we leave. People, there's still nearly 1,000 people in the chat. Keep on liking, keep on subscribing to the channel if you're new. We've asked this question before. Ben, I'll start with you. Right now, including Leoni, Guehi, Isak, how many players are Liverpool signing from now up until the end of the window?
Based on today's information and the fact that it's 2 centre-backs and not 1, 4.
Wow.
Chat, get involved.
I agree.
4.
I agree, Jake. You don't agree?
Because I listened to Lewis on our 6 o'clock show, and I've got a sneaky feeling that Isak will not be the last forward.
Gene, what are you saying?
5.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but see, you know, why am I?
Wharton on deadline day, and we all go to town.
If
we get Wharton on deadline day, actually, it's after the Newcastle game, isn't it?
I have 4 weeks
you
off.
You can go to Burnley away.
4 weeks off. Gene, how many are we signing between now and the end of the window?
Jake, my head says 3, my heart says 4. Forget the head. We go with the heart. 4.
3.
3?
Yeah.
Isak, Guehi, and Leoni, yeah?
That's it.
I'm
not saying the 4th's a belter, but I'm saying there's 4.
Jake, say 4.
Jake doesn't lie to the people.
You're going to regret it.
Tell the people the way that it is.
Jake, you're going to regret
you remember, we were talking about it, and we were talking about the Isak approach from Liverpool. And you came back the next day, you were saying, you bastards knew about this. You knew about it. So what Gene's telling you, stay 4. Just say 4.
We're going 4.
That's it. You said 4.
4 it is. You guys don't tell me anything in advance.
I don't know anything. I'm just guessing. I don't know anything. I'm guessing, man. Listen,
we got Jake to change. That's the main thing.
That's the main thing.
Come on, Asim. Give the people what they want. Who's the 4?
What can I tell you?
Guehi.
Guehi, Isak, Leoni, and
We need like a drum roll
There's
sound
two.
effect, don't we?
There's 2 players though.
no,
But we'll go for one.
yeah, we'll get one in. So Guehi, Isak,
Leone, that's
Leoni,
3.
and like and subscribe. We see you tomorrow.